Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. And this is an episode where we watch an episode of the classic NBC sitcom Parks and Recreation, and then we talk about it. And my name is Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by the power of the internet by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going, Jason?
It is going. It's going. Things are happening. It is slightly overcast today in the greater Seattle area, but the heat seems to be diminishing, and we're heading back into the gray and the gloom that is the wonder of fall in the Pacific Northwest.
Finally.
I know. It was too hot.
It was too hot.
It was just too hot. I'm ready.
Now we can stay inside more.
Yeah, exactly. And like Donna Meagle, I like the rain and the fish markets.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just a great place to be. I don't really go to the fish markets very often, but I like that they're there.
Yeah, it's good to know that they're there, that there's fish flying around in downtown Seattle.
Yeah, that fish market. If listener, if you are not from the Northwest, well, I'm glad you're listening. Let me tell you a little bit about it. If you come out here to Seattle and you're like, oh, I want to go see the people throwing the fish, and you will be with easily 36 other people waiting for them to throw some fish. Now, here's the catch. Somebody's got to buy fish to be thrown. And so you go to Pike Place Market, and it's Pike Place, not Pike's Place. That's how we know if you're out of towners. It's Pike Place. And if you go to the market and you're standing there, like you're like, I watch the NFL on Fox, and they always show the guy throwing the fish. Most likely a producer bought some fish. And so you're just waiting there, and it's always so crowded. And I mean, you can just go to Safeway and buy a fish and just throw it down the aisle. I mean, it's not that much different.
They look at you a lot differently there, though. It doesn't play as well.
Yeah, that's true. I love this classic thing, and I see this less and less, but you used to be able to go to QFC, and QFC is a regional Kroger chain up in the Northwest, and you used to go to QFC, and they would have the lobster tank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is, happening less and less. And I don't know why. But I would love to see somebody just try to grab a lobster out of the lobster tank and throw it like they're at Pike Place. Because they don't have any like whole salmon at Pike Place or at QFC. But the lobster is the last whole sea creature to throw. I'd like to see that happen.
I want to see him, like, if you can do like dunking for apples thing, like situation where you get it for free. Like if you can get a lobster with your mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. It's free lobster day.
That would be very impressive, because usually the lobster tank is a little higher up.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because they don't want people to try to do what we're suggesting. And
no rubber bands either. That's the other key.
Take the rubber bands off.
No rubber bands on the claws. This is, I mean, you gotta give them a chance.
All right. Yeah. And lobsters don't float. They're just down at the bottom. So you got to get all the way into that tank.
Not the live ones.
Yeah. The dead ones. If you see any lobsters upside down, don't pick those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do you remember that movie? It was called Caveman. It had Ringo Starr. And the guy dunked his head in, and he came up, and the lobster got his nose, and then he had like a lobster claw ring on his. See, it all worked. It was way ahead. That movie was way ahead of its time. Go see Caveman if you still haven't.
Listener, we are telling you this because we're making an announcement. We are shifting from a podcast through the Parks and Recreation episodes to just talk about Caveman every day.
Yeah, the classic 1981 Caveman movie.
Is that when it came out?
Yeah, 1981. Yeah, 5.7 on IMDb.
Wait, did you say 9.7?
Oh, no, 5.7.
Oh, okay.
5.7. Yeah.
I was like, it is the highest rated movie on IMDb of all time, Caveman.
Yeah, Carl Gottlieb was the director. He also directed Jaws 2. Well, he wrote it anyway.
He wrote Jaws 2?
Mm-hmm. The Jawsening, I think, or two Jaws 2 Furious. Jaws 2, Electric Boogaloo. Hey, we have an episode to talk about.
Yes, season 5, episode 22. Are you better off? This is the season finale of season 5, and it has an 8.3 rating on IMDb. And Jeremy, I want to ask you a question as we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that this episode earned that 8.3?
Yeah, I would say it's right. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they brought out a couple stars. And some of the people came back from the earlier of the season from the previous episodes of the season. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I feel like you don't feel like it should be that high.
I don't. I watched this morning, and I was, I don't know. I didn't think it was very funny. And I was just like, oh, you're moving all the pieces to get to next season. And it just felt like work.
Okay.
You're doing like a job, and you have to like clean up, like you're building a house, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Got to clean up before you can go home for the day. This is what this episode felt like to me. Like you've done some things. You've got some walls up. You are maybe running some wiring, all that stuff. But it's like, I got to go home, come back next day, or over the weekend even. And you got to put all your tools away. You got to make sure everything's set up for the next day. And this is what this episode felt like for me. Just the end of the day, getting ready to do more stuff tomorrow. So, yeah, but that's just me.
Hey guys, it'll be really great to talk about it though.
I mean, there are some things that are fun to talk about here, but
you be honest. I feel you.
I just don't know if it, like, looking at last week's episode, what was it? It was a 7.5. And I thought last week's episode was much better.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to scroll back. Jerry's retirement, 8.1. Article 2, 7.9. And that one is a funnier episode. Animal Control, 8.2. Animal Control is rated less than this episode.
But I think it's a season finale though, right? I mean, I don't know. People like season finales.
Well, I, for one, am fine with it.
Okay. This is an episode that happened.
Yeah. Here comes a lukewarm take. This episode was something I watched, and I made some notes, but I'm not even opening my notes because there was not one time in this episode where I was like, that's super funny. So
shut it down. We could save people a lot of time and just leave it there. Well, let's run through it then.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it.
And I was trying to figure out as I was watching it, like how's the best way to approach this? Because normally we've got the 3 different plots, but this week's episode, the plots kind of overlap a little bit because of Andy's investigation. And so we're just kind of, I think just easier just to go from the top to the end and to mix my anyway, from the start to the end. I was going to say geography, but this is not geography, chronology, metaphors. Anyway, so it starts out with a really fun meeting at Ron's cabin in the woods. It's a meeting about Founders Week. And Jeremy, you've lived in a small town for not for very long. I know this.
All right, thank you.
But small towns kind of hold on to their founder legends a little bit more. In the town of Onalaska, did you guys ever do any kind of Founders Week or anything like that?
No. But Main Street is named after the founder, Carlisle Avenue.
It's not like John Maine.
No.
Okay.
Or Main Street, like it's just a bunch of lions.
It's the zoo.
It's just the zoo.
The Onalaska Zoo. Okay, so you've got at least some tie to the founder in some way because the street name. Like I grew up in Kirkland, Washington, and
Captain Kirk,
Peter Kirk, actually.
Peter Kirk.
And my elementary school that I first went to was called Peter Kirk Elementary. There's Peter Kirk Park. There's all kinds of Kirk tie in things to the city, but never once did we have a parade or any in all the years I lived there, a parade that just said like, "Hey, this guy lived 100 years ago." I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe this is why
you just
I don't like this episode, because like it doesn't ring true to my experience, my lived experience
about the founders of Pawnee, who obviously were terrible people. Anyway,
yeah, like why are they still honoring them? It just drives me nuts.
Because they get to do a parade.
I guess people love parades.
Oh my gosh!
Among the most love of parades. And
have we talked about parades?
No.
All right, we might as well, because I don't like parades. I'm just gonna say it. Parades are the worst.
Same.
It's a really slow moving ad for things like the Rotary Club, which I don't even know what they do, and for the local Ford dealership, and like I think a dance troupe or something, and somebody who paid to have their banner carried by their nephews and nieces, and then they throw like the cheapest candy at people. Right. And everyone goes nuts for this. And then the guy that for some reason restored a fire truck. Like it's every town, that's just copy and paste. That's what they do everywhere. And I get it. People want to get together. Just don't do it for Mitch Hedberg said it best. If you want to make a train or make a parade go faster, just walk the other way. That's how you just speed them up, man. Let's go. They're so boring.
Yes. I completely agree. One of my favorite parade memories, it's a very short list. This may be the only thing on the list.
Was leaving?
No, we went to Ocean Shores, Kathy and I, years and years and years ago. We went to Ocean Shores, and we were there on May Day, May 1st, and they had a parade. And Ocean Shores is not a town that's big enough to really have a parade.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm at it, neither is Edmonds, Washington. There's nothing in the 4th of July parade that is worth the time. So people are like, hey, you want to come down to the parade? And it's like, I don't want to stand in the sun because I didn't put my chair out 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
I don't want to deal with the people trying to get a better view than me of looking at cars go by. No, I don't want any of this.
That's just traffic.
It's like, this is the 4th of July. It's a day off. Why do I want to go and work to be entertained? Like, and it's not even entertaining. You want to, anyway, Ocean Shores on May Day. One of my favorite floats was a guy in a Mustang, and he was being driven in a convertible Mustang. And on the side, there was a banner that said Kevin, the bus driver. And that was it. That was like, at that point, I was like, okay, peak parade achieved. Kevin, the bus driver.
You did it, buddy.
Yeah. And even like the Thanksgiving Day parade on Macy's, like on TV, it's like, I don't care about any of these schools from Texas flying out here to not be with their family on Thanksgiving to play songs that I can't hear very well.
That they cut into halfway through.
Yeah.
And then cut out of 3/4 of the way
isn't
through.
That just wonderful? It's like, I don't know. You didn't let him finish.
My favorite thing about small town parades too is the staging of the parade. Like they're around the corner, like they're going to sneak up on everybody. Like, don't look, here they come.
I wonder what's going on behind the grocery store. I hear tubas. And it's a band. There's no way to know.
No. There's something wrong with their air conditioning unit. I've been to parades, small town parades, where it's so small that they've actually had to take like 3 laps. Like it's just their parade repeats itself to make it last longer.
That's amazing. They're like, hey, we got another song for you. Yeah, parades are so dumb.
Hey, you know what? If you wanted to, we've taken so much time bashing parades. If you would like to defend parades, please let us know what we're missing. What are we missing? Which I would say nothing about parades, because I feel like we can get together as small towns and communities over pretty much anything else, anything at all. Down in Winlock, Washington, they have the giant egg festival, I think, and they celebrate eggs. Great. That's better.
I'm for it.
At least it's food. You can do something with it.
Is there a parade?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm just saying, like,
what would be great is with the egg festival, if there's a parade, like, and you're making floats, like, make this a competition. And if your float sucks, it's going to get egged.
Yes, that's interactive.
Yes, like right now, like it's all just like, hey, these floats that we made, and sometimes they're cool, maybe, but most of the time I don't care at all.
Right.
And if you could like vote some way, if we were encouraged to boo floats,
Yeah, let's raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Let's hold these people accountable.
Yeah,
Gary, the bus driver in your convertible Mustang.
It was Kevin, the bus driver.
Kevin.
If we were able to put some stakes to a parade, like maybe the worst float, they're executed.
Wow. Okay. That guy.
Okay. Too far.
That escalated quickly.
If we could, like, because right now it's like you're trying to advertise to me to buy a car. I didn't come here prepared to buy a car to the parade. Just like the guys at the fair who are trying to sell hot tubs. Like, anybody, is this working? Like, is anybody like, hey, I'm ready to leave here with a hot tub today?
Oh, I guarantee you it does, because my family bought one at the Puyallup Fair. Okay.
All right. I stand corrected. I had no idea. Oh, wow.
My in-laws bought a Dodge. I think it was an Espresso or an Espresso. What was that called? The Dodge Neon. Anyway, they bought a car from
the fair.
From the fair.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, it works then.
It's working.
I take it all back. They earned the 8.3 rating. All right. So Leslie is having a really fun meeting at Ron's cabin that he let them borrow. And Ron is not cool with this because he's like, I didn't have a choice. I should have never agreed to I should have never agreed to this or let you know that I have a cabin or gotten to know any of you. So Ron is generating my energy for this episode as well.
Right off the bat. I love it.
Off the bat. I'm like, yes, Ron, you speak truth. And so they're trying to talk through the Founders Parade, and it's just celebrating everything about Pawnee. And she says that this parade makes the Rose Bowl parade look like turds on wheels convention. And having watched the Rose Parade, that wouldn't be hard because that's also super boring. Anyway, I'm just coming in hot today.
You are. My family, the girls love parades on TV. They love watching the parades.
But why?
I don't know. It's the same thing every year too. We could just record. If I recorded last year's and just put it on, they'd never know. I should try that.
You should.
Anyway, keep going.
I would like to know how that goes.
Okay.
Report back the day after Thanksgiving. Or is that on New Year's Day?
Yes.
That one's New Year's Day. So that's coming up. Eventually, listener, you may be listening to this on New Year's Eve and you're like, oh crap. But so they're planning this whole thing. And so Leslie wants to get some ideas and talk about what's the best thing about Pawnee. And April points out that it has the most murders per capita. The guillotine was invented there, and City Hall is run by the Walrus Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been listening to a lot of Alex Jones, I think. And I don't know what the Walrus Mafia would do, but I would like to believe that the Walry are up to something.
The Walry.
Yeah, I don't know how to pluralize walruses. Is it walruses, you think?
Walrus. Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay, walruses. So, of course, she's talking nonsense. But they start working down the list, and she asks Donna, like, hey, cost of living is cheap, and I'm going to have enough. I saved enough here to pay off my condo in Seattle. And they're all like, you have a condo in Seattle? And I'm like, Donna, I knew there's a reason I liked you, because Seattle's the best.
Yeah.
The best. And she points out she likes the rain and the fish markets. And again, see earlier comments about fish markets. The market is cool, though.
It is cool.
I like going to the market. I just never go to the fish market part of it because they're not going to just throw fish all day. They're trying to sell people fish. But I do like there's a jam place.
Did you say jam place?
Jam, yeah. That lets you get samples with a little like a broken up tongue depressor, that type thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And you get like the spicy jams and all that kind of. I love that. And then there's olive oils that you can sample at another place.
And there's
That's the best.
The mini donuts.
Yes, the mini donuts are also
and
good.
Also, depending upon your outlook on Starbucks and stuff, the original Starbucks is just right across the street from, in the little alley there, from the fish place. So if you are a coffee historian type, visit it, check it out.
Yes, there will be a line.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's very small.
It is small because it was never intended to be a place where people hang out.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally just selling beans. So, so it is it's a whole scene down at Pike Place, and it's worth the trip. So it's too small to have a parade on that street, so that's also helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really good sandwiches in the area. There's all these little restaurants that have good food. You can find good sandwiches, pierogies.
Are you hungry, bud?
I am. I was listening back to last week's episode when I was talking about my current health initiative, and I was like, "Man, Jason, that's super annoying. Don't get too focused on the food." So anyway,
how's that going, man?
Fine. It's fine. I'll be all right.
You got
Kathy
this.
made chicken, panko chicken last night, and there was a bunch left over. So it's one of those things where it's like, I know what I'm going to have for lunch. Can I get there?
You can do it. Let's get through this. Let's get through like a parade. Let's get through this, man. You got this.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'm focusing.
It's getting hot. The sun's coming out. It's almost noon.
Oh my word. All right. So so then Leslie is trying to get everybody focused, and out of nowhere comes Mona Lisa Saperstein, who is still dating Tom. And she's bored and she wants to go hook up in a tree, and tells everybody they'll be back in 8 minutes, which is too much information. And she's like, Leslie's like, why did you bring her here? And Tom's like, I have no power in this relationship. I'll think of ideas in the tree. So then it cuts to the credits, and we pick up, and April is on the phone, and she's very seems sad in the way she's responding to the news that she is receiving. And at the same time, or sad or overwhelmed or just confused, we don't know. It's probably some of the best acting that Aubrey Plaza does in this whole episode. It's like, I feel like you're really feeling something right now. So, and so Andy comes in and announces that he is on an investigation, because he starts asking if everyone's feeling normal today. And he tells people he had to go back and get his sweatshirt at Ron's cabin that he lost there, and he was looking in the trash and he found a positive pregnancy test. And then, side note, he accidentally threw his sweatshirt away, so that's why he was in the garbage in the first place, and he found that too. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's building an investigation because there were 5 women who were at the cabin: Leslie, Donna, Anne, Mona Lisa, or April, and one of them is pregnant. And he's like, it can't be April. She would have told me. And so this is the resurrection of Bert Maclin, FBI. And so he is going to investigate this whole situation. And so that's going to be his main drive through this episode. And so then we come to a city forum, and Chris Traeger is kicking things off as they are getting ready for Founders Week festivities. I do not know why they are doing a town forum about Founders Week the day before the event. Anyway, poor planning. But Leslie, turns out, is also trying to make this a victory lap for her, because she feels like she's done a lot of good things over this first year as a city council member. And so, so there's maybe a little bit of that, like, hey, we're all going to have this great party today. Remember, Leslie is making these kinds of parties happen. But as part of Chris's announcement, I do like that due to a tragic misunderstanding, the Prettiest Pig beauty pageant has been replaced by a pork rib barbecue competition. And he just, as he's reading it out loud, he's like, oh no, like, this is not good.
He didn't pre-read his own announcement.
Yeah. Or like somebody gave it to him and he's just like, okay, here are the details. Right. Prettiest Pig's not happening. Pork rib. All right, got it. And then you get up there and you start saying that out loud. You're like, oh. So, that's so he is kicking this thing off right. And so they hand it over to Leslie, and she starts talking about the stuff that's going right in the city, and talks about how obesity and diabetes are down, test scores are up, any raccoon attacks decreased. And so she's like, we can feel really proud about what we've accomplished. And so this is all in a talking head. And so then she asks the people, are you better off than you were a year ago, at the town forum, and asks who'd like to start. Bad idea, Leslie. Bad idea.
Yeah, the whole concept of are you better off? Anytime you pose a question, people, it's the whole Henry Ford thing. Like, you don't ask people if they want a car because they just will want a faster horse or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So why are you asking people? They're just it's the general public, man. You say, hey, we're better off. Make it a definitive.
Yeah. This is how things are better. And I don't want to hear from you. So I Henry Ford is a problematic person in a lot of different ways, but one of my favorite things he said about his cars, you can get a Model T in any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to give you this thing.
Right.
Stop complaining. And that's what I liked about the early iPhone, and like the renovation at Apple is like, this is what we're giving you. That's it. Now, like, Apple has way too many options. When you go to, like, what color do you want your phone? Who cares? I want it phone color. Like, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. But, anyway. Focus, Jason. So the first person to get up is Catherine Pinewood, who we have met because she is the one who Leslie confronted with the soda sales tax, trying to get people to not drink 512 gallons of soda, which they call child size, because if you remember, if you liquefy a child, it will be about that size. Mm-hmm. So Catherine Pinewood gets up and points out that the past year has been a disaster. The government is hell-bent on stripping away our most basic personal freedoms. And so Leslie is trying to fight back on that. And we will see that all kinds of other people also have things to say about how Leslie Knope has been stripping away their freedoms. But while this forum is happening, Tom is also running a very successful business. And he's pretty excited about it. And so we're over at Rent-A-Swag, and he's talking about how good things are going, and maybe he'll expand to have a baby section called Little Swaggers, or maybe some old people stuff. He call it Rent-A-Sag. And then immediately he recognizes that old people are gross. And so that's not going to happen. But then, so that's all in the talking head. Cut back to Mona Lisa saying, I want to go home. My tum-tum feels gross. And I hate working. So we've all been there. So, and he's like, well, you got to find someone to cover for you because we're really busy. And Mona Lisa's like, no, also a lawyer called, and she gives him the message about that. She also points out how the lawyer sounded really sexy and that she was into that. And Tom's like, let's put up some boundaries on what you can say to me. And
things get even worse.
Yeah, she's awful in all the ways. And I don't even want to repeat all the things she says. So Tom meets this lawyer who is played by, I had the cast list up here. He is just one of the best.
Mark Evan Jackson?
Yes, thank you. He's awesome. He's also in The Good Place as the judge. Not the judge.
And Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as Ray Holt's husband. And they are a really, really hilarious couple. They know how to party. So, yeah. And so he is Trevor is the lawyer's name. So Trevor comes to Tom and says, my client would like to buy your company. And so Tom is, first of all, he thinks that Babyface heard his demo. And then he's like, Diddy wants to buy Rent-A-Swag. And Trevor's like, it's not Diddy. So Tom has to think, like, do I want to sell my company and make a profit, or what do I want to do? And he'll call a investor meeting later. But we go back to Andy's investigation, and he starts with Anne. And it's like, what do you want? And Andy's response is just observing. a little something they taught us at Quantico, which is where they train FBI agents, is Quantico. And he's like, I just have one question. Congratulations.
Is that even a question?
And he's like, no, it's an accusation because I know your secret. Congratulations is an accusation. You're pregnant.
Once again, Andy was the best part of this episode.
Again, yes, he was funny. But yeah, it's an accusation. You're pregnant. And Anne is like, what? No. And he explains, like, I found this at the test, this test at Ron's cabin. And, someone we know is pregnant. And Anne's like, but I'm trying to get pregnant. That's not fair. And so she joins the investigation to figure out who is pregnant in their friend work group. And she's able to join the investigation because Bert Maclin works alone, but she offers to buy lunch. And he's like, deal. Welcome to the FBI. So cutting back to the town forum, Ben points out that Leslie's health initiative has been a huge success. They're no longer 4th most obese city in America. They're now 9th.
Yay.
Yes, they've lost the weight equal to 800 pregnant manatees. And then Leslie points out a gym opened and it stayed in business. So this is good.
Yeah.
These are good, measurable, achieved goals. This is good stuff.
Especially when you measure in pregnant manatees. That's a lot. Yes. I feel like that's a lot of pregnant manatees.
Yeah, which was probably a major problem in landlocked Indiana.
Yeah, nature's bumps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how those manatees even got to Indiana. They were probably flown there by the governor of Florida. But Catherine Pinewood here's all these things and it says, but where will it end? Because they also attacked the Sweetum School lunch program, literally taking candy from babies. And Leslie points out that they convinced the school board that napkins are a vegetable because, as Catherine points out, they're made from plants. So things are not going great. And then Dewey from sanitation gets up and points out that because they stripped their freedoms by making them hire women, they now have to have a women's bathroom. And now they only have one bathroom. And that is a stripping of freedoms. And then Bjorn Lurpus of the Lurpus family gets up because they were supposed to put a Paunch burger in the lot next to his house, but now they're putting a dumb park there. And he's like, now if I wanted, I'm just going to read Bjorn's reaction here.
This is great.
Now if I want to start my day off with a triple-decker pancake breakfast pizza, which...
Yeah.
I mean, sounds awesome.
I know, right?
I got to go to the one that's 10 minutes away, and that makes me 20 minutes late to work every day. I work at home. And Ben's like, have you ever considered not doing that? And he just looks right at Ben, points at him with all the rage and says, I'll never consider that. So pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, don't take away a man's triple-decker pancake breakfast pizza.
Yeah, I said I don't want to like zero in on the food here, but what's involved in this?
Right, I know. I wasn't going to ask, but what do you think is involved in that?
Well, here's the question. I know you are a ketchup on eggs person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, somehow,
no.
When we're like on vacation together, like I just don't look at what you're eating. At breakfast time, like, oh, yeah, gross.
It's just a murder scene over there.
Yeah, it's like, no, thank you. I mean, you're already killing a baby egg.
It's pre-chicken. It's the same thing.
It's a future bird.
It's barbecue sauce. What's the matter? It's tomato. It's fine.
Okay, so here's my question: would you ever put? No,
100%.
Back it up.
Yeah, no, I know where you're going. Yeah.
If syrup were to find its way onto a scrambled egg, is that something that grosses you out? Are you good with that?
No, I mean, no, but here's what it is. So over at the family pancake house, they have the Big Bob's breakfast, which is pretty amazing. And it's just everything like eggs. Mm-hmm. So what I do is it's a stack of 3 pancakes and I get my eggs. I don't get them scrambled in this situation because I'll get them over easy and I'll slide them in between the pancakes.
Okay.
And then I put the syrup on it. And then when I cut into it, then all the yolk gets all over it. It's delicious. It's fantastic. So it's not always ketchup.
Okay. All right.
I would not put syrup on scrambled eggs. It's just
not on
I don't
purpose.
know. It gets not on purpose. It gets cold and it's weird.
Yeah, but if you're looking at this,
way more normal.
This ketchup is also cold. If you're looking at this triple decker breakfast pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't put ketchup on a pancake.
No.
So, like, how are you like a tomato sauce on a pancake?
No. You got to do the eggs in between two pancakes, and then probably bacon.
Yes. Okay.
In between the other two.
Yes. Excellent.
Or sausage patties with bacon, like chopped up bacon in the pancake.
Hey, now, where would you feel in this situation with if we're talking pizza, a cheese layer?
No.
Mm-mm. No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't know the dairy. I don't think that works.
Oh, all right. We'll have to do the research. So yeah, I do like Bjorn Lurpis's passion about this. Yeah. I will never consider that. Leslie's like, it seems personal because they're mainly just standing up and saying how much they hate me. So then we cut back to Andy, his investigation. He goes to Donna and he says, Donna, how many people am I talking to? One or 1 1/9? And she asks, she's like, do you think I'm pregnant? And he's like, and she's like, no, I got a good head on my shoulders. Don't worry about me. And then the so she's not pregnant, but Andy's like, this case just got interesting, and it was already pretty interesting to begin with. So this case just remained interesting. Cut back to the forum, and we have Marshall Langman and his wife Marcia, and Marshall and Marcia. Last time we saw them, they were protesting the sex ed curriculum that Leslie was presenting to the seniors of Pawnee.
Mm-hmm.
And Marshall, who is a flamboyant man, is pointing out that they're not better off a year ago, because a year ago, the town was not a horrifying sex den where people could put their body parts anywhere they want with impunity. And then you were elected. And now this town is a horrifying sex den where people can put their body parts anywhere they want with impunity. And he, and Leslie says, look, all of these things helped because like STDs are down 14% from last year. And Marshall says, deviant behavior, though, in Pawnee is up 1 billion %. And then Marshall starts doing some kind of I just owned you dance.
Mm-hmm.
That is not fun to watch. So, yeah. But then Dennis Lurpis stands up, and this is the funny, as I was watching this, I was like, is he also a Lurpis? So we have Bjorn Lurpis and then Dennis Lurpis. They have to be related.
Yeah. I mean, of the Lurpis clan.
And Dennis Lurpis of the Lurpis family points out that Leslie saved his business. And if you remember, Dennis Lurpis is played by Jason Schwartzman, and he was running an art house movie rental place that they would show. They would do screenings and stuff, and the movies were all really terrible, and so they were failing. And so so Leslie tried to get the video dome on the historical record to preserve the building, and it turned into a pornographic DVD emporium. And Leslie, as he's talking, is like, no, you don't need to talk to anything about this situation at all. But Dennis Lurpis is appreciating Leslie. And then Brandy Max, the town porn star, also gets up and says, Leslie has done great things for my business as well. And Leslie is just like, no, I don't want to have anything associated with you. So it was a big misunderstanding, and Leslie got it squared away, but whatever. she's not trying to create this sex den, which Marcia and Marshall have accused her of. And then the porn place is like, no, we're doing great. And everybody in town is like, they're doing great. And then Andy comes in and says, Leslie, are you pregnant? and did you or did you not leave this positive pregnancy test in a dumpster in the woods?
Oh, hi, everybody.
And Leslie's like, no. And he's like, oh, really? All right, let's go. And then he leaves. And then Andy says, is that Brandy Max? So I was like, everybody knows who Brandy Max is, apparently. And then, so yeah, this town forum is not going well for Leslie. Cut to Tom meeting with his investment team, and we have Jerry and basically the office staff there. And he's like, hey, I've got somebody who wants to buy this. I'm not saying it's Diddy, but I'm not saying it's Diddy. And so the profit would be basically doubling everybody's investment. And Donna is on board so they can get pedicures on pedicures on pedicures.
That's a lot of pedicures.
Yes. I mean, I don't even have that many feet. And then Ron is like, if someone is trying to buy you out, that means you're doing something right. So, continue to grow, accumulate power, find the investor and buy his business and teach him a lesson. And so Tom is got a lot to think about here. And then April says, I think you should get a Hello Kitty tattoo. So
also good advice.
Yeah. And then he's like, I know that the store, I'm talking about the store. He's like, oh, then burn it for insurance money. And then Jerry speaks and he says, one thing I've learned, everybody just shuts him down right away.
I missed you guys.
Yeah. So
that's our only interaction with Jerry.
Yeah. He just in and out. I don't know if he was in like some kind of new Bourne movie as like the new Jason Bourne. But yeah, that's it for Jerry. So, because I remember in the future.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They say Kevin James was a weird choice for the new Bourne movie. And Leslie's like, I think he nailed it.
I need that to be true someday.
Yeah. Kevin James is a very athletic person. Like he can move for being a man of size like him. Like he can really move.
And I want to play straight action too. Like no tongue in cheek, no, Naked Gun style. I mean, it like Jason Bourne, you just take Matt Damon out. Put in Kevin James.
Don't even mention it.
Let's see it. Yes.
Like, don't even act like this is weird, right? No. He's like, yeah, same haircut. Even put Matt Damon on the side on the posters. I think Kevin James would be fine with that because the check's still cash. So, yeah. So Tom is still wrestling with all of this stuff, but his advice from Ron is really what I think he's going to lean into here. So then we cut back to Chris and Ben and Leslie, and they're getting ready for the parade. And it looks like everybody's having a good time. And Chris has to go because he has a very special role in the parade. No spoilers. So he runs away. And Ben points out, like, you chose politics and people are not going to like what you do. There's always going to be people who kind of go get against you, but let's just watch the parade and you can't resist a parade. And so, so they're going to watch this parade. It's going to be super, super boring and paradey. So then Andy and Anne go and talk to Tom about the potential of Mona Lisa being pregnant, and he is overwhelmed with this possibility because that would be terrible for everybody involved. And he's like, we always do protection, but I'm pretty positive she pokes holes in them. And what brand of pregnancy test is it? And it's called Womb. There it is, which is the best name for a pregnancy test ever. And so Tom is like, oh man, I'm going to be a dad. I had a baby with John Ralphio's sister. Oh man, what have I done? Like to humanity. So cut back to the parade. And Leslie's like, this is going to be the perfect thing to take my mind off of all this stuff. And Chris comes running back. He's like, Leslie, I have to talk to you. And he's dressed up like a king. And we find out that his special role is the Nipple King. Kernston Rubber Nipple Company elects a Nipple King and Queen every year to ride the float. And this year it is Chris. He's the nipple king.
It's an amazing
congratulations, honor. I guess. I guess. I think a great prank would be to nominate somebody who hates parades and make them have to sit in the whole parade.
That's mean. That's not a great prank. That's just cruel. I'm jotting down notes now. I'm trying to find more parades to nominate you for. That's a great idea.
Fortunately, I don't qualify for anything.
Because of the felony?
Yeah. So then there's this float that starts coming in of a very stern, mean-looking woman wagging her finger, saying, "No, no, no, no fun for you." And Leslie's like, "Hey, that's me." And so she gets up and starts to lecture the crowd. And she starts wagging her finger, saying, like, "This is not okay. This is wrong." And Ben's just like, "Stop wagging your finger." So, so she starts trying to list all the great things that she's done. And, but then we have Catherine Pinewood showing up and saying, "This float represents a group of over 300 business owners, individuals, and community leaders who are protesting your unfair government regulation. And we are here to kick Leslie out of office. Recall Knope." And so people start cheering that. And then we see Brett, formerly of Animal Control, on the float saying, "Legalize weed." So he didn't get the whole memo.
Why was Brett and Harris up there? Because Leslie got them fired or something?
Yeah. So they're part of this group of 300 people who are protesting unfair government regulation, like the unfair government regulation that you should do your job. So, so, I mean, they have good reasons to want to recall Knope for sure. So then Tom is talking to Mona Lisa and John Ralphio, saying like, "Hey, we may be pregnant." And Mona's like, "Yeah, that's mine. I'm pregnant." And then she's like, "No, just kidding. Psych. There are so much birth control and things in me that is impossible to have a human baby." Look at your stupid face. So, So Tom is relieved, and this was funny. It was like, oh, thank God. And John Ralph is like, "Hey, that's my sister. What's wrong with you, man?" And Tom's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he's like, "No, just kidding. She's the worst. You dodged a bullet." And so Anne and Andy are still not sure who's pregnant, and the only person left is April. And Andy's like, "April would have told me. Besides, the math doesn't add up," and because they have sex every day, and so the only way we haven't talked to her, it has to be hers. And he's like, "Oh man, I'm going to be a dad." So the wheels are turning slowly for Bert Maclin. But then Ben and Leslie, they're talking, sitting together, and it looks like JJ's diner. And Ben is like, "This is part of the deal with politics. People are going to be against you." And Leslie's like, "We should just quit and just run away." And Ben points out, "You love work and politics. You woke me up at 3 a.m. to watch Meet the Press in Hawaii." And he's like, "Well, it was Elizabeth Warren. I'm not going to miss that."
Mm-hmm.
So, so Leslie really does love her job. And so, they can decide to, stand up and, fight the recall. And that's
Ben makes a good point. He's like, "I mean, do you believe that everything's better than a year ago? Do you stand behind everything you've done? Then it's okay, because you're trying to make it better for the people." I mean, it was a fight for her. It's been a fight for her to do anything good, because they've been resisting her the entire time. So why not?
Yeah,
let's go.
Turns out politics sucks, and people are going to hate everything. There will always be somebody who hates what you're doing. And the sooner you can get on board with that in politics, the sooner you can just say like, "Well, I'm going to still work on what I'm going to work on."
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Ben's whole thing is. Like, you're doing this, and this is what you believe you should be doing. So let's just go.
Exactly. And if you believe in yourself and you believe in your convictions, even if it goes against what the law or anything, you can just do whatever you want. You can just then that's what politics is. Follow your heart and bank account and just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But just
file those things however you want to file them.
do it. It's fine. That's what we're learning here.
Yes.
As long as you believe it.
Well, as the great leader George Costanza said to Jerry Seinfeld, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, So Leslie calls a press conference, and in her press conference, she points out like, "Hey, I'm going to fight this thing," and she uses a bunch of different movie titles because her adrenaline is pumping and she's excited. So, So she's like, "I work hard for the town, and the only thing that matters to me is, are you better off now than you were a year ago? I think you are, and if you disagree with me, then go ahead and recall me. Go crazy." And then points out, "You got served." And then Silver Linings Playbook kind of is a dance movie, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Shauna Malway Tweep stands up and says they want to push this in 2 months. Do you have any comment? And she's like, "No. Again, all I care about is, are you better off?" And Shauna then takes that personally. He's like, "I think I am better off." I haven't had a date in a while, but I'm learning a lot about me.
Good for you, Shauna.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically talking to you, but I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And so, in conclusion, recall Schmeecall. No, I can't have my big press conference saying recall Schmeecall. That's ridiculous. And so, passes it over to Ben, who always knows the political and best way to end a thing. And they wrap up the press conference. And so then Leslie's like, "All right, I'm going to get to work." And so she made a commitment to clean the Pawnee River. And so she's the next day is putting together her team and getting ready to go. And Chris is excited to be a part of it as well. And he's like, "Whatever you can't need for the recall, I'm there with you. I'm for you." And then he's like, has a garbage can. He's like, "All right, let's go. Anyone last to pick up 10 cans or last one to pick up." There's words missing here. Sorry,
100.
I wrote it down. 100 cans has still accomplished a great deal. So, so they go, and Anne is saying like, "Hey, this is a bummer. Maybe after you and me and Chris, we can go out and get some drinks." And she's like, "Yeah, sounds good." And then they talk about their relationship, and they're working to have a baby. And Leslie says, "Well, okay, I'm happy for you. Just remember to have protection." And she's like, "Wait, no, that would do everything wrong about what you're trying to do." And then Andy comes in and picks up April and is like, "My wife is pregnant." And April's like, "Nah, I'm not pregnant. And even if I were, you probably shouldn't pick me up." And then she points out that, she does have a secret that she applied to veterinary school in Bloomington and just found out that she got in. And she's like, "I don't know if I want to do it." And Andy is like super supportive. He's like, "Yeah, well, totally. This will be fine. You can totally do this. And we'll make it work." So that's coming together. And then we cut over to Tom with Trevor and saying, "Look, I want you to know I will not be selling Rent a Swag." And you can tell your client now he has 100 problems. Is it Jay-Z? No. And so then Trevor says, "Well, since you're not going to sell, my client is going to open a business right across the street." And he explains the business, and it's going to be called Tommy's Closet, and it's basically just Rent a Swag too. And Tom is like, "That's my business." And
but what's so great about it though is that he does do the whole babies, toddlers, grown-ups, and olds. And Tom had said, "No, old people are the worst."
Yeah. So, And so Tom is like, "That's my idea." And Trevor is like, "Oh, is Domino's the only one allowed to sell pizza now? It's called capitalism, and you're going to get a free lesson. Only this free lesson is going to cost you." So Tom's like, "So it's not free?" Like, "No, you're right. This lesson will cost you." And so that sucks for Tom. And so
Are you sure? Yeah. It sucks, but that's a pretty baller move. Are you sure it's not Diddy?
It is Diddy.
I knew it.
It's not Diddy. So yeah, I love Trevor. He's great. Yeah. He's a great lawyer person. And then Andy and Ron are talking, and Andy's like, we're coming in mid-conversation. He's like, "Are you sure everything's gonna be all right if April goes to school?" And Ron is like, "There are no sure things, but you two seem solid to me." And Andy's like, "Change is good, I guess." And Ron is like, "No, change is awful. I don't want to change ever at all. Leslie's asking if everybody was better off than they were a year ago. All I care about is staying the same. If I'm the same as a year ago, I'm happy." And then Andy's like, oh, well, he's like, then who's pregnant? And Ron's like, what? And the boy says, I found a pregnancy test at your cabin, checked all the girls that were there. It wasn't any of them. And at that moment, Diane Lewis comes in and says, hey, can we talk maybe in private? Cue the Andy Dwyer recognition gif that everybody's seen a million times. Cliffhanger for next season. Dun, dun, dun.
So Ron's going to have a kid. So Diane's pregnant. Ron's going to have a kid. Tom has competition. Leslie's being recalled. And
Yes.
April is going to vet college. And we're still left with Jerry's part-time. Donna is, paying off her condo, I guess. And that leaves Anne and Chris still trying to have a kid.
Yes.
Does that wrap up kind of where we're at and what we're heading into for season 6?
Yep. Sure does.
Sure does. Fantastic.
Yeah. So, so we're stepping into the next season, and it will be a delight.
Well, I guess we're taking this is our time for a break, right? Because the show takes a break. So are we off for like 3 or 4 months or something now?
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
See what happens next Friday when we are scheduled to record.
Yeah. Season 6, episode 1, London, part 1.
Yes, that episode I love.
So do you want to do like a really, really long one to do both episodes, or
because it's a 1 and 2,
or we're going to try to cram both of them into a short one? Like, you know what? Another cliffhanger was you just have to wait and see how we do it next season.
Next season,
Parks and Conversation.
Dun dun dun.